Ahava blessings. Welcome to this episode of Embodying the Shekhinah. This podcast is here to support us and guide us during these times of energetic waves of uplifting energy, of chaotic energy. And the point is to support us in embodying, integrating, remembering our soul essence. This is part of what our human journey really is about. It's about living an embodied, a conscious experience, knowing that we are master manifestors. We are co-creators of our reality. I am your host. My name is Aria. I am an ordained Magdalene priestess, a Reiki master, energy and sound healer. And in this episode, we're going to talk and dive into the energies of Scorpio. Scorpio as the energy that represents the collective karma of humanity. Now, if you know Scorpio energy, and the lunar cycle began with the new moon that we had last week. And since then, lots have happened. We've had an election here in the US, and it's been very contentious, and there's a lot of mixed energies and mixed emotions about the outcome. And I'm really being called to share the wisdom of the Scorpio lunar portal, the energies of Scorpio. Scorpio is a very, very deep, powerful, intuitive, transformative, regenerative energy. It can, in the shadow, we're going to talk about both aspects, both polarities, because we do live in this physical reality that we do deal with polarities, we do deal with duality, and the goal is to harmonize them, to balance them, to align them, to integrate them into a whole. So, in the shadow, the Scorpio energy can be dark, secretive, manipulative, vengeful. It can be an energy that is very harsh, power hungry, and controlling, manipulative. If you've known a Scorpio in this energy, you might have very, very bad reactions whenever you meet someone and they say they're a Scorpio, or you hear about this energy. You may have these shadow aspects may come to mind because of the lived experience. And that's good and bad. So what that shows you, anything that triggers you, what it shows you is where you need to seek unity and harmony within, where we need to heal, where we need to balance, where we need to align, where our energies are best channeled. And Scorpio, of course, rules the reproductive system. It's really about the waters of creation. So in its higher octave, in its true nature, Scorpio is what I mentioned before, deeply restorative, regenerative, deeply intuitive. Like Cancers and Pisces, they just know. They are very tuned into the cosmic waters of creation, and when the Scorpio purifies the sexual energy, they know how to channel their sexual energy, the creation energy, into the light. They know how to rebirth themselves. They know how to channel that energy for creation, for the light, for the betterment, the enhancement, for the deeper awakening of that being. So we can see that it's an energy that's healing, transformative, reformative, restoring. So it's a very nurturing energy, even though it also has that deep connection to sovereignty, to our power, to the ability to channel our power in the light. And may have mentioned this in the episode where I spoke about the moon, the new moon that marked this lunar cycle. A lot of people have power, is another trigger word for a lot of people, because of how power has been misused, misrepresented, abused in humanity. So there's that abuse of power and energy. And this is why many of us, light workers, don't trust ourselves to wield our own power. We are hesitant to step into our sovereignty, to step into our mission, to be seen and received as the healers and the bringers of wisdom that we are, because we have a distorted relationship with power, with sovereignty. There's a difference, because as I mentioned before, if you listen to that episode, this might be a little bit of a repeat, but it's not going, the entire thing is not going to be that, so please don't, just bear with me. Power ultimately is an energy you wield over yourself. That's it. It's self-mastery. Now, in this physical 3D reality that we live in, it's been distorted and perverted and bastardized into power in the way that we see it, where it's power over a person, place, thing, the earth, people, etc. That's not true power. That is manipulation. That is control. That is not believing that another being is capable of making decisions for themselves, and therefore you have to step in and save them. That's deeply rooted in arrogance, in disharmony, and a disunity within the self. The moment any one of us believes we are superior, we separate ourselves from the divine. We separate ourselves from source consciousness, God, Goddess, the divine Mother, Father. And in this separation, when we have separated ourselves from source, God, Goddess, the divine, we can and have and do abuse, misuse, manipulate, control, subjugate, etc. And that is the collective karma of humanity. We live in a society where it has been in a sense glossed over that certain people's histories don't matter, because history, the books, are only written by the victors. However, there is a deeper history that is deeply linked to the ancestral lineages, to the lineages of the Native Americans, and these are the native people of all over the world. And in many cases, these native beings have been colonized, have been raped, have been subjugated, have been ostracized, etc. And we have been complicit as a humanity in this. The more recent example of this adding to the collective karma of humanity, is the pandemic. We basically, every one of us before was, most of us, all about women's rights. Your right, your body, your choice, right? But no. Not when it comes to a pandemic. At that point, we refuse to trust people who embodied sovereignty and who chose their own path. We chose to ostracize them. We chose to vilify them. We chose to wish them death. This is not, that is not a fifth dimensional expression of humanity. That's not a high expression of humanity, period. So we created and we continue to create circumstances and play into stories that divide, that hurt, that continue this game of manipulation, of control, of fear-based programs. And this ties into the karma, Scorpio as the representative of, or the symbol of, the collective karma. So Cancer is the individual family karma. Cancer is the family karma. Because we're all born, we all choose to be born into a family. And we have that kettle of fish that is the karma of our ancestors from that line. Then we have the individual karma, which is Capricorn, and Scorpio is the collective, humanity's karma. So in biblical Gnostic astrology, Scorpio, the story that exemplifies Scorpio is during the Exodus. Moses went out into the wilderness, into the desert, to pray for 40 days so he can receive more inspiration from the divine, so he could channel for his people as he was guiding them through the wilderness. And they were subsisting on manna. They were subsisting on this divine heavenly food. In the Vedic tradition, it would be likened to Amrita. So they were subsisting on this, but the men grew restless, and they began to doubt, and they began to coerce the women into giving up their jewels, their gold. Their gold to create an idol, a calf, a symbol of the life that they had when they were back in Egypt. And Egypt represents the control, the enslavement, that energy. And they were, when Moses came back, they were worshiping this calf. And so they were also looking for someone to guide them back into Egypt, because they missed the sensual pleasures of Egypt. They missed the food. They were tired and probably really sick of eating manna. And, they wanted to go back to what they knew, which is the human tendency. The human tendency is to want to remain the same, to not change. And if it has changed, you want it to go back, because those were the good old days. That was when society was at its height. That was, when, everything was good in this country, etc. So there's this desire within the human that, and this is the egoic desire, that instead of persevering and advancing and elevating and transcending, we want to go back. We want to go back to what we think is safe, because it is what is known. So what do we do when we want to go back to what we think is safe? We otherize one another. We create a scapegoat, we create a victim, we create a perpetrator. And we continue to play into this mentality of us versus them. So what happened in this biblical story? So Moses comes back, sees them worshiping the golden calf, basically throws down the tablets that he had received, and he goes into a rage, and he basically makes them, burns the idol to dust and has them drink, and basically says that you will never see the promised land, but your children will. So they continue to wander, and this drinking of the golden calf in the water is a symbolism, a representation of the karmic seed being nourished and replicated. So these are all of the lower, baser tendencies we have, all of the programs, all of the stuff we inherited from our lineage, the stuff that we learned in school, we learned through friends, through society, etc. We continue to replicate these seeds of distortion, of disunity, of chaos, of destruction. Because ultimately, when we separate ourselves from the divine, from one another, from ourselves, because ultimately this is a story, it goes into the collective, but it's a reflection of within. Whenever we're criticizing, judging, hating, resenting, etc., another being, we do it because there is something we see in them that is a direct mirror of something within that we do not accept, we do not love, we do not, and we resent and hate about ourselves. And when we hate ourselves, even if it's one part of you, even if it's something that you say that you just hate the way your legs are, you're short, you're petite. So you hate that you're short. You hate the way your body looks. Even if it's something as simple as that one thing. You don't like the way your nose looks. What you're doing is you are hating the divine. Because you are a spark of the divine. The person in front of you that you think is an idiot or an asshole is an aspect of you, is an aspect of Source God, Goddess, even if they are representing all of the base qualities that a human being is capable of. Even that person is a spark of the divine. I know it's hard to accept and wrap our minds around because many of us, particularly light beings and starseeds that are not used to this world of duality, no matter how many lifetimes we've lived, I really don't think one ever really gets used to the negativity, the disunity, the harshness, the anger, the violence that we can exhibit and express upon one another here in this human realm. I don't think any starseed ever really comes to terms with that. Because our soul remembers a place, a time, and a frequency of the divine where we were one. We were in complete unity. And in unity, we expanded and we loved and we embodied all the qualities of grace and beauty and wisdom and harmony. That is our true essence. But we came here, we chose to come here and incarnate to play out different roles. And we chose to forget. And that is the hardest thing. So, the Israelites drank of the water, representing the karmic seed of disunity and separation being nourished. And there's a quote from Yeshua where he says, "Everyone who drinks of this water will thirst again, but whoever drinks of the water I shall give him will never thirst. The water that I shall give him will become in him a spring of water welling up to eternal life." And this water is the waters of the noon. And the noon is what? The Aramaic letter, Hebrew letter that created Scorpio. So it's deep. Because in this portal of Scorpio, we have the ability to truly see what is wrong with humanity. And in seeing all of that, still choose to have hope, choose to have faith, choose to heal the imbalances that are within, that are expressing themselves, because it's probably not just one thing, that are expressing themselves in the external. Because the external world is a mirror of the internal. Just as we are all mirrors of one another, we are all showing each other a different way, a different possibility, a different frequency of creation being expressed in human form. So it's really really powerful how in this election it was a masculine versus feminine. And yet it wasn't that simple. The human mind likes to reduce things to a lowest common denominator, likes to categorize, likes to put things in its place. So many people, regardless of who wins or who won, are otherizing the other. And regardless of who would have won, if there had been a different outcome, they would have been doing the same thing. Because this is the human tendency. We think that there were only two options, but within those two options, there are multiple timelines. There are multiple layers of expression that could happen through those supposedly two routes. But we don't see them. Because when we are veiled, we don't see the truth. We don't receive and access the wisdom to be able to discern the correct path. And no matter what ass sits in the freaking White House, what ultimately matters is the frequency and the reality that you yourself are creating through your thoughts, through your words, through your actions. For those of us who are deeply disturbed by so many things about this president that's coming in, so many things. What we can do is envision wisdom flowing through that being. Envision wisdom seeding itself. Just as wisdom can seed itself within our hearts, within the hearts of those. I'm incredibly disturbed. Forget him. I'm incredibly disturbed by people I see on Facebook that are talking about disowning their own family members, culling their friends list. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, all you are doing is creating more disunity, disharmony, and pain within yourself. Because you are separating yourself from that which you see as a wrong expression of humanity. But what the hell do you know? What do I know? What do any one of us know about the other person's expression of humanity? We don't know jack. Not a single thing. We don't know. We are not omniscient, omnipotent beings in this human form. We're not. Every single one of us has made mistakes. Every single one of us has misused our power. And this is why we're so afraid of our power. Every single one of us has wronged and harmed another being, including ourselves. So who are we to judge? Who are we to basically say, I don't want to talk to you anymore? Years of friendship down the toilet. Years of family relationships. Fuck it. How is that creating a fifth dimensional higher timeline? The purpose of our humanity, of our shared experience, is to come together, is to learn the frequency of your own soul, of your own unique expression, and how it can harmonize with other frequencies that may be dissimilar to yours, but they are no less valid, because every person is their own microcosm. Every being is their own universe and world unto themselves. And no one expression is more valid or invalid than another. This is the exact opposite of anchoring in the higher dimensions and bringing and talking about ascending to 5D. No, it's not about creating division. It's about coming together. It's about trying to understand what motivated a person to make the choices they made. And if you don't have the compassion, the graciousness to save a 20-something-year friendship and with just the dialogue, because some things are personal. We make decisions based on our own personal expression and feelings. And as disheartening as other people's choices may be, they are no less valid. And it doesn't mean that they don't love and respect you or your views. That's not what it means. What it means was that they basically looked at a different frame, at the same picture through a different frame, through the lens of their own life, their own conditioning. And that was the best they could do at that time. Who are we to judge? Who are we to basically say that that expression is invalid? That's incredibly arrogant. But yet at the same time, we are the same people who think that those people are wrong. We are the same people that want reparations for slavery. We are the same people that say that slavery is wrong and that what happened to the Native Americans is wrong. But yet we're willing to otherize other people because somehow, because of their ideological political stance, that's okay. But it's not okay if it's based on race. This isn't a conditional situation. Either something is right for everyone under any circumstance, or it's not. And if it's not, it's conditional. You cannot love someone and call it love and only love them if they behave a certain way. That's not love. But yet, many people were raised, myself included, with that kind of love. That was love. So we can pretend that we are better than other people. We can pretend that we know better, that if we were in that person's shoes, we would have chosen differently. We can pretend and use that pretense to judge, to continue to play into disharmony, disunity, the fear-based programs that are controlling humanity. Or we can liberate ourselves. And this is the point of Scorpio season. Liberation, sovereignty, empowerment. This doesn't mean that you project your perspective of how life should be on another being. That is not empowerment. Sorry to break it to you, it's not. And if you don't like me because I said so, I don't know what the hell to tell you. I am not here to sugarcoat what harmony is. I'm not here to sugarcoat that this ascension experience is traumatic. It's a rebirth. I'm not here to make anyone feel better than anyone else, because none of us are. None of us are better than anyone else. We are all the same sparks of the divine. We all have the same infinite potential, whether we employ it for good, for harmony, for beauty, for unity, for shapera, spiritual beauty, or we use it for destruction and to continue to play into the paradigm of division and separation that creates fear, that creates manipulation, that has fed all of the systems that so many of us cannot stand. We want freedom for all, right? We want sovereignty for all. We want love and beauty and peace for all. It begins in our own hearts. It begins by letting go of the judgment, the shame, the guilt, the fear, the resentment, the anger, the frustration. It begins with each one of us letting go of all of those disharmonizing aspects within, purifying ourselves, our inner world, and beginning to create unity through dialogue, through a sincere desire to understand the unique spark of divine essence that is before you. I'm going to share a personal story because it's very relevant. When my husband began his divorce proceedings, not from me, I became very angry at his ex because she vilified him, acted like he was the one with the problem, and she was the white dove, she was the victim, and she had mistreated him for years. She had, cheated on him. She had, not been nice to him. And granted, my beloved is not, he's a human being. He's not the easiest person to live with. But he's wonderful for me. But that marriage didn't work. But they spent years, acting like it did for the children who are now grown. So basically she turned their grown children against him. And that made me very angry because I could see how much it hurt him and how much he loved his family. That was why one of the reasons, I guess, that an aversion to change, probably that he stayed. So I was very angry, and I would just say not nice things about her. And I would apologize when I said that, but it's like it was just eating me up that someone could be that way. Because me, in this iteration, I would never behave that way. So I prayed, and I did my practices, and I continued doing my own introspection because this triggered the fuck out of me. I continued doing my own inner work. And the more I continued doing my inner work, the more I opened up. And I remembered a time when I behaved that way, when I manipulated someone. I chose to control them and treat them very unkindly, even though this person loved me very much. And then I could have compassion for the ex-wife. And it brings tears to my eyes even now, because this is the growth that we as human beings are working towards. Because when I could see myself having done what she has done, it dissolved the walls around my heart. It dissolved the resentment and the anger I felt. And all I could do was wish her peace. Because everything that I did when I was behaving in a similar fashion, I did because I was deeply wounded. And to be able to see my own wounds and how I healed them, I'm pretty sure that it's possible for her as well. So I sent her light, and I sent her peace, and I sent her love, because she is no different than me. And this I offer to you. The person that you are warring with, the person you are fighting with, the person that triggers you, is not your enemy. They are your brother and your sister. They are a reflection of something within you that needs to be brought into unity, into harmony, into your heart to be cherished and loved. We grow through laying ourselves bare of the bullshit, bare of who we think we are, or thinking we are better than simply because, oh well, I've done all of these practices and I eat like this and I live here, so I'm better than. How dare she behave that way? Why can't she behave enlightened? Again, it's just as it was not for me to judge her. It's not in any one of us's best interest to judge another being, because we are all the same. We are all divine essence, God, Goddess, flowing. That energy is within us. We can choose during this portal to go into the cosmic waters of the noon, to purify, to regenerate, to heal ourselves, to call forth the wisdom, to heal those parts of ourselves that we have put in a closet, put in a timeout. We buried it in the attic or in the backyard, or, down the road and to the right and by the river and that first rock. It's time for us to unveil and unburden ourselves of all of those things that we have been holding on to in order to reveal and embody our soul essence. In order to truly birth and anchor the higher frequencies that are coming in, because they're coming in hot and fast. Solar flares, crazy supermoons, it's happening. And this is why we are seeing all of the divisiveness and all of the division. And are we going to continue playing into that? Are we going to create more of this two-dimensional world, this three-dimensional world, this lower frequency? Or are we going to transcend? Are we going to pick ourselves up by the bootstraps and step into the fullest, most radiant embodiment of your soul? The you that your soul came here to embody. Because it's not about the ass in the White House, or the teacher who's giving you a hard time, or the colleague. It's not about them. It's about you. It's about what that is showing you that is going on inside. And when we get to the bottom of what's going on inside, we elevate, we transcend, and then we embody a new frequency. And when we embody a new frequency, floodgates open. The abundance, the love, the harmony, the beauty, the peace, the manifestations you're calling in, all of it comes in because your frequency, your resonance has changed. You've stopped fighting. Because it's not about fighting. There's the Buddhism I used to practice. Oh my God, it was all about that struggle. You had to do your human revolution. It's not about the struggle. If it's hard, take a step back and really allow yourself to go within. And from that space of nothingness, Ndarikan, which is today that I'm recording this, today is the day that we're talking about this noon code, from the void, from the higher perspective that is the void, the place where everything is seated and everything is birthed. From there, allow yourself to receive your next steps, how you need to tackle that issue, that situation, that problem, that circumstance. It's all there for you. It's all within. So everything that you need is within you. You have the ability to profoundly elevate and transform and transcend whatever is going on within you during this Scorpio lunar cycle. During this portal, we have that ability. Seize it. Take advantage of it. Because when we shift our own perspective, we begin shifting the collective karma, and we begin transforming and transmuting and alchemizing it. We say we're light workers, right? This is the work. The work is dissolving the distortions and the delusions and the nonsense and the false beliefs that we have been indoctrinated and continue to hold on to, even though they are detrimental to us, to purify and let them go and embody our true essence. And from that space of embodiment, create harmony. Choose to embody love. Choose to share and spread and share your light, the unique gifts that you came here to share. This is what we are here to do. This is what being a light worker is. It's not all rainbows and unicorns and butterflies. It's dissolving and transmuting and alchemizing the false layers of the ego, shedding the ego to allow the soul to guide us. So my crown chakra was buzzing through most of that. I pray that you receive this in the highest light and allow it to shed light on what needs to be healed and alchemized within you. How you can elevate and transcend in your own unique way. Thank you, Ahava, for listening. If you enjoyed this, of course, like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to find me on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. My apologies. Links are below in the show notes. And don't forget to tune in to the sound activation for this lunar portal and for this Scorpio transmuting the dense collective karma of humanity sound activation. So that is our companion episode. Don't forget to tune into that. Have a blessed day of the goddess. And the 11/11 portal is coming, so I will share something on my Instagram and my YouTube on that, because it really is, it's all frequency. Everything is frequency. Everything is your vibration. That is what determines your experience and how that experience can trickle into the collective. Ahava, have a blessed day.